Okay, artists, first things first, go ahead and finish up your backgrounds if you did not finish them already. As you can see from mine, I still have some shapes that I have to fill in, as well as I've got to fill in a background color. Now remember that because we are creating these as backgrounds that are showing repetition, we definitely want to make sure that we are coloring in our shapes and our lines the same for each square. So that means that if in my bottom right corner I put a dark green triangle, it needs to be in the bottom right hand corner of my other squares too. Now you see those grid lines that we made, the vertical and the horizontal lines? If they are not going to be a part of your design, you can go ahead and erase them. You can see on mine, I'm going to erase them and then I'm going to fill in my background entirely with yellow. Once your background's done, it's going to be time to move on to the second part. Now let's talk about taking your photo. So remember when we looked at Kehinde Wiley's subjects, which are the people that were inside of his paintings, and many of them were sort of showing us things like power or success, right? So we want to try and embody that. You can see here, I have a pose where I'm standing up nice and straight. I have my hands on my hips and I'm kind of looking off in the distance. Perhaps you could think of a way to make yourself look like you're thinking or that you are embodying strength, right? Think about what kind of pose for your photo here you could do to show that you are strong and powerful. Okay, so take a photo of your background and take a photo of you. Remember that you can use a device like a phone or a tablet, or you can use your computer's webcam to do so. This is exactly what we've already done before with our ugly holiday sweaters. So if you need a refresher, you can either check back to that video or you can send Miss G a message and I will do my best to help. Once you have the photos of your background of yourself, let's go to Kleki, Kleki.com in the web browsers. Now, this is our digital online tool. So what you're going to do as soon as you get over there, you're going to go over to File, Import. It's going to pop up, and if you're using a tablet like me, you'll do it from your photo library, or you'll choose, if you're using on a computer, where you have your photos located, for instance, your desktop. So go ahead, load in the one of your background. Now it's going to ask you, do you want to do it as layer or as image? Go ahead and use this one as image. So again, I want you to go back to import, and then this time I want you to select the photo of yourself. Now, instead of saying as image, I want you to hit as layer. So when you hit as layer, you can see, you can now adjust the size of yourself. Okay, you can make yourself bigger, smaller. You can decide if you want to be in the middle, on the side. We're going to go ahead and make sure that we fill our space and make sure the ends of our bodies go down to the bottom of our page. And then what we're also going to do is just make ourselves centered. Okay, awesome. So now if you were to go over to the layers panel, you would see that your bottom layer is of your background, your pattern background you made, and then your second layer is the photo of yourself. Okay, so now let's talk about, we want to go to brush. And what I want you to do is go all the way over to that eraser tool. Now you can see here, you can adjust the size of your eraser tool, and guess what? We're gonna be erasing our backgrounds. You may be able to start off with a large eraser brush. You can see I've got size of 400 here as I go around and I start to erase most of my background. Now, as I get to the areas closer to my head or around my arms, I'm going to definitely want to, one, zoom in. Remember, there was this plus and minuses buttons up at the top. But also, two, I'm going to want to use a smaller brush size. You guys can see here that as I'm going around, and I know I'm going pretty fast, as I'm going around though and I'm erasing, I'm using a size 23 brush, okay? And I'm trying to erase as close as I can to myself so I don't see any of my original background from my photo. So keep going until you have completely erased your original background from your photo, and the thing that exists after you're done is you now on your patterned background. Okay, so what I want you guys to go ahead and do now is go over to File, and then I want you to hit the Save button. We're not done yet, but we want to make sure we save the progress that we've done so far. So now if you're on a tablet like me, you can hit that little square with the arrow coming out of it and you can save it to your photos. If you're working on a computer, just make sure you save it either to your desktop or to your downloads folder. And now here comes the fun part. Remember how Kehinde Wiley would take elements of his pattern background and overlap them onto the subject of his paintings? Guess what? We're going to do the same. So you're going to go back to File, Import, and guess what? You're going to import your background again. Now, this time instead of doing it as image, as layer. See, if you're in your layers panel, it's layer number 3. And what you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and bring down that opacity, okay? Because you wanna be able to still see yourself, but with your background elements overlaid on top of you. Now, here's the thing. You're gonna go back to brush and pick up that eraser tool again. And you're going to decide what parts of your patterned background you want to overlap onto the photo of yourself. So I'm gonna show you here. Well, I have, this little diamond shape up at the top in my hair. I'm gonna keep that one, but I'm gonna erase the elements that go over my face. Okay, how about down on my arm? Well, I really like the ones that overlap maybe a little bit more towards my elbow. So I think I'll keep those, but I'm gonna erase some of the ones that go over my chest. Okay. Let's see, next. Well, I'm gonna keep going around and deciding what parts I want. So remember, erase the areas you don't want, and then later, we'll actually go back over to layers and we'll bring our opacity, again, our transparency, all the way back up to 100, and we'll actually erase those shapes out completely so we don't see the background on them. So now zoom in on those shapes and start to cut them out. This is just like we did with our photo, right? So we wanted to get rid of the photo or the background on our photo. So now we want to get rid of the background on our shapes, only where they're overlapping onto the photo of ourselves, right? I know, that can get a little tricky. Take your time. Go around each spot and erase until done. All right, double check. Did you hit all your shapes? Did you make sure you still have some parts that are overlapping? Alrighty, friends. Once you have finished this last part of having part of your background elements overlap onto the photo of yourself, you're done. So again, you can go File, Save, or you can hit that little arrow up at the top with the line underneath it. That saves it as well. Whether you're using a tablet or a device to save your image, or you are working on a desktop, I want you to go ahead and send me your Kehinde Wiley inspired digital portraits. I cannot wait to see what yours look like, artists.